Follow along with me as we paint a simple watercolor floral in the loose style, and I will show you how to do it in a real-time situation. Now, here I'm taking a very saturated brush, loading that up with paint, and just placing dots. I'm basically following the pattern that I did in this previous painted floral. And you can see I'm using a quill brush, and now I'm taking clean water and painting the petals with the water, and then lightly touching that dot of saturated paint and spreading it into that water. My hope was that the paint would just flow naturally, but I'm needing to help it along a little bit here. Now, this is, I call it a fantasy flower. It's not indicative of any particular flower. I'm just going along with a petal-like shape to make this happen. And here you can see I'm even adding more water to the top of those petals, trying to make it more faded and loose at the top. And I'm even lifting color, taking some of that paint off. Now, those are different techniques you can use to make a loose watercolor floral. Again, I'm just doing that last flower. This quill brush, it's a synthetic, but it is so loose. It holds so much water, and I love how the bristles just flop around very loosely. Now here you can see I'm adding more paint right at that tip where that dot of paint was in the very beginning. And because the water has already touched that area, look at it spread. I love that effect. Here I'm taking a bit of a golden yellow, and I'm touching the water in just random spots. Look at that spread. Isn't that amazing? I love that look. Now here I'm just going to wet the bottom of my paper. See the painting I had done before? That's how I'm going to create this very loose background effect. And I'm using the same colors that I had previously. A bright, vibrant type of pink. I'm just placing it randomly. I'm waiting for that water to just spread that paint around. And I'm just being very loose and playful with it. And then I'm going to get a little bit of that yellow and adding that in as well. That's how you get that very loose effect. Now, I want you to notice this is very vibrant. It's very saturated. But when it dries, it always dries lighter. Now see how I'm lifting off some color? You can do that as well if you feel like you've got too much. I get some more clean water, and now I'm adding it near the top where it's closer to the flower. It gets that faded effect going on. Now I'm going to spend about 30 seconds drying my painting, and I just want you to know I cut that out for you. So if you have a heat gun, you can use that to help quickly dry your painting, or take a break, walk away, and go do something else. But I want this completely dry so that when I paint the stems, I'm not having that bleed effect that we really wanted when we were doing the leaves, the petals, I mean, and that background. So I'm finishing up, drying that off for you. Now I have, this is a 1. It's called a 1 round watercolor brush. And that just means that that ferrule is so small. It is 1 millimeter in diameter of bristles. And it's like using a liner. What I'm doing here is touching just the base of that flower again in a darker color. I used a little bit of indigo blue, and I'm just very, very lightly dragging my brush down. Now, realize this tiny, tiny brush uses up a lot of water quickly and paint quickly. So every time I'm drawing a new stem, I'm going back to get more water, and I'm going back to get more paint. And it's okay. I love the wiggly squiggly lines of these stems. They just look like they're moving in the breeze. It's a very loose style. But I like adding that little bit of a base, a little tiny dot of color right at the bottom of that flower where the stem attaches. And I'm making each one a little bit different. Some of it had more blue. This one's going to have more of a purple tone when that indigo and that rose color met up. So this is how you create that effect. I love this. Now, here's a tip. If you want to splatter paint, get a bigger brush full of water, saturate it with paint, and then here I'm just tapping the brush to get those little drops of paint. That's what gives that really airy look, splatter paint. Isn't that fun? I hope you had a great time. Thank you for following me, and if you want more of this content, give it a like, and I'll see you in the next video.